past. They really had a lot of stuff. So 7,000 years ago in Africa, everybody at 7,000 years ago is basically still, religion is mainly somewhat female-centric. So in Africa, these are what would epistemically I would guess these are females, look like they have dresses, but these are painted and they're believed to be shamanistic in the Sahara Desert. This is on top. I'm showing to me what seems like a connected reference. So 7,000 years ago, they find nude ivory figures, okay, and carved in basically the same way, but put in male-female graves, both, in Egypt. Everybody gets a female. Okay, well, one of the oldest goddesses is goddess Nut, who is represented right there as a naked female. One of the things that goddess Nut does is helps you into the afterlife. So I think that it's an interesting thing that there's because you have to understand most Egyptian things have their clothes on. So at 5,600 years ago, the tomb with a male burial first appears in probably the first god and other artifacts along with the first mummy, and it predates the first pharaoh dynasties. But we see that male-centric started to come in right before the pharaohs. This is where we have what I consider after 5,000 years ago. This is 5,150 years ago, actually, for this dynasty. But the first dynasty of pharaohs. But the Egyptians' religion was created social hierarchy and mixed government, religion, culture as one humongous, megalith. And it put the king on top, the pharaoh, and then it put the chiefs, administrators, the priests, once again, religion, right up at the top. Then soldiers, of course, to protect the religion and the king, and the scribes to write about them, and then the merchants to supply them, and then the craftsmen to make it. Anyways, you get down to the slaves. What's really funny is this is right before the Sumerian Mesopotamia. If you look at that's almost the same thing. These cultures are certainly somewhat taking ideas, especially since this is 150 years later. So it's not unthinkable that they had some influence, Egypt and Mesopotamia. So Mesopotamia's social hierarchy and religion is the same exact thing. Mixed religion, government, culture, all is one thing. So this to me is also how a lot of religions itself model themselves. They put the one thing on top, the leader and all the deacons and all the stuff. It's almost the same. The slaves would be, the people coming in and just watching. What's really important to understand is even though that these religions started taking over culture and everything, still the Sumerian Akkadian gods, the oldest god in the Sumerian mythology, one of them, basically was Namu. And Namu was a female goddess that did not have a mate, and she was self-created, or as the Christians would say, she always was. And so, but it's funny because it's a female. Once again, 5,000 years ago, we still have female gods starting everything. How is the Bible true? How is, these Abrahamic religions? So then there's a red line from Namu to Anu. Now, I don't pronounce all these names right, probably, and that's because later they married her. It's, oh, no, maybe she was married. Later myths, they started changing. That's also why you get more gods. They start, because then they have children, and then they do stuff, and then they have them marrying off different people. But religion is about as valuable to me as attending a class where almost there is no facts offered, and worse, they joyfully give you lies. These lies are so special that everyone else gets to interpret them as you wish, and when changed to several different forms, they are all still seen as true. Of course, then it changed again because religion does nothing but evolve. Then we have monotheism, where I say it really should have been called monotheism, because in man we trust. Because basically there's not one monotheistic religion that's not male-centric. This is a real problem since we have females in the world. And it also is a direct affront to religion itself, because religion for thousands of years was female. At least from 50,000 years down, it is absolutely a fact that religion was mainly female-centric. So this new monotheism is an actually new thing. So I always tell people when they say, well, would you ever believe in a God? I'm like, only if it was female, because the male God, just the 5,000 years, why would it wait? Why would it wait so long to present itself if that was the one true thing from the beginning? And I also have all kinds of stats and facts on what the religions and why they're male-based. And so, once again, everything in the religion, the one thing you understand, it evolves. It never stops. Even now, it never stops. It just keeps evolving, growing, changing. So Judaism starts, and all this shows the catastrophe that happened from that. Well, and that catastrophe doesn't, right now there is, I can't remember this 18-something or wherever they did a thing, and there was like 1,000 Christian denominations, and I think it was in 2012 or something, like